Hi guys, today's video is inspired by one of Climb the Stack's early videos, and the topic of that video was books I like more upon reflection. And when I watched this video I thought to myself that there are several books that I could describe in that way, that books that I didn't initially like as much as I do now, and that I re-evaluated after reading, either following a reread or just by thinking about them, and now would recommend much more strongly. I've come up with 3 books that match this description, so I'm going to talk about those today. The first book I'm going to talk about is The New Girl by Emily Perkins. This book is set in the summer, in a small town or village where the new girl of the title, whose name is Miranda, goes to teach the teenagers in a sort of free open access class over the summer. It's aimed at those who've just finished school, so they're all waiting for their exam results. There's a lot of tension between their lives as they were and the lives they're going to have in the future once they get their exam results and decide what they're going to do with their lives. It's not just about teenagers, it's about their parents. This isn't a YA novel. And the other people in the town and the relationships that Miranda builds with them. When I first finished reading The New Girl, I didn't rate it that highly. I felt that there were too many unanswered questions raised by the book. It's kind of like the author gave us these tantalising little details about the characters' lives and then didn't follow through on that, so I kind of felt unsatisfied. I don't believe that a book has to resolve every single plot and possibility, but I just felt in this case that I was a little bit irritated. But then when I thought about it afterwards, I kind of gained a stronger appreciation. I would describe Miranda as kind of the anti-manic pixie dream girl. If you don't know what a manic pixie dream girl is, then you can Google it, but she's a character in some films and books that comes into the lives of the main character or characters, and she's a beautiful, charismatic, quirky woman or girl, and she changes their lives for the better. Miranda is beautiful and charismatic and alluring, but she's also kind of evil. And I won't tell you how because it's kind of a spoiler, but if I had known that was the way the book was going to go before the start, I probably would have read it a lot sooner and not left it on my TBR for a few years. So yeah, I think she kind of leaves a lot of the characters' lives in this ambiguous state, which makes a lot more sense when you see her as a sort of anti-manic pixie dream girl figure. Looking at her like that, I can appreciate her a lot more and find her really interesting as a character. The next book I'm going to talk about is Tithe by Holly Black, which is the first in her modern fairy tales trilogy. It's about a girl called Kay who returns to the small town where she used to live with her grandmother and where she used to be friends with fairies. She finds out that the fairies are still there, but a lot has changed, and now that she's older she finds herself dragged into this kind of fairy battle. And when I read it the first time, I felt like it was too sparse. Like, I couldn't really get into Kay's head. I felt like I wasn't really getting her emotions through the story, and I wasn't getting a real sense of the characters' personalities, and I found that really disappointing. But what happened the second time around was that I expected those things. So it wasn't a disappointment that I was kind of a bit detached, because I expected it. And so in a kind of contradictory way, I found myself less detached because I wasn't expecting more than I was going to get. And so that meant that I actually appreciated the things I enjoyed about the novel the first time round much more. So that was quite interesting, and it makes me think, would I appreciate disappointing books more if I read them a second time? Of course, I don't really want to read disappointing books again. But I'm glad that in the case of Tive I did, because although it's definitely not my favourite book by Holly Black, she has now become one of my favourite authors, and I have very much loved the other books that I have read by her. The third book I'm going to talk about is That Summer by Sarah Desson. When I first read this, I was not that impressed. It's about a girl called Haven whose sister's getting married and her dad is getting married, and she finds herself drawn towards one of her sister's old boyfriends. It's a strange book. It wasn't what I was expecting, and I've read one other Sarah Desson book before and really, really loved it. So I was quite disappointed by That Summer, which is her first book. But after a couple of weeks after I'd finished reading it, I started to appreciate it more. I kind of thought about it and developed a better idea of what the author was trying to do in the book. Even though I didn't love it, and it's definitely never going to be my favourite book by Sarah Desson, I can appreciate what she was trying to do, and so it has risen a notch in my estimation because I think what she was trying to do with it is really interesting. It just didn't come across in that book, probably because it was her debut novel, and she hadn't grown into the amazing, strong writer that she is now. So I'd love to know if there are any books that you've liked more upon reflection. If you've made a video on this topic, please do leave a link in the comments or tweet me to let me know. And if you like this video, please do like it and subscribe to Bookish Brits to see more from me and the others on the team.